Joining us now is Hannibal Camua, Executive Director of the Philippine Business for Education, or PBED. Good morning, Sir Hannibal. It's nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Ma'am Angela, and good morning to all the viewers of One News and Morning Matters.
Right, so we have a lot to talk about, but first, 24 million Filipinos are functionally illiterate. From PBED's perspective, what is the biggest systematic failure behind this?
Well, we've been talking about this for quite some time, Ma'am Angela. No?
Yes.
This 54 million was actually the results coming in from the results of the FLEMS Functional Literacy and Mass Media Survey, which was done by the PSA in the middle of last year. So the 24 million actually is, it's very sad, but it's not surprising. We've been saying this. It's not surprising because for the longest time we've been in the country has been experiencing a learning crisis, and this is the result of that learning crisis. So basically, nakikita natin that ito na po yung resulta ng decades of neglect in our education system, and now it's that the results are actually showing from this FLEMS survey and to other let's say surveys and international assessments like the PISA and also the CPLM. Nakikita natin na yung resulta niya, nangungulela tayo. So yeah, it's a result of the education crisis, the ongoing and the lingering education crisis that the country is experiencing for a long time.
Right. But you said it right, that this is not surprising anymore. No? Every year we would talk about this and we would talk about the steps that we need to do. But what do you think walang nangyayari with all the things that we are discussing about it, and with all the guidelines or the systems na pinag-uusapan na dapat gawin? Do you think that yung pabago-bago din ng sistema, we're not sticking into the system that we are implementing, is also part of this situation?
Well, you hit it right on the mark, Ms. Angela, no? Because again, education reforms take time to, let's say, it takes time, no? So basically, titingnan natin yung ating basic education system, including let's say pre-grade 1 until makagraduate yan ng grade 12. It would take, let's say, again at the minimum 12 years, 13, 14 years, no? Para makita natin yung resulta. So yung pabagong mga polisiya, yung mga knee-jerk na reaction na, baba tayo sa ganito, so kailangan ito yung gawin natin, without really thinking on, let's say, the long-term policy implications and the implementation of that. Nakaka-apekto po yan, no? Kung titingnan din natin, may mga policies na ginawa po ang ating kagawaran ng edukasyon na meron naman po, merong positive effect. Pero also, we want to look at yung continuity and sustainability of those policies, yung mga magagandang policies nagkakaroon po ng magandang epekto. So
exactly.
that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen.
Kasi nangyayari minsan, 'di ba, ganito, okay, let's use mother tongue. Tapos may lalabas na data ulit na study na we're always lagging behind. Sasabi, hindi, wag na natin gamitin yung mother tongue. Ito naman yung gawin natin. So, in effect, like what you've said, di ba, it takes time to see yung growth, no, or to see the growth of that system that we are trying to implement. But what I'm seeing also in this study is about yung inclusive education natin dito sa Philippines. So, what is needed to be done in terms of inclusive education in the Philippines? Because only 8% of children with disabilities are enrolled in public schools, no?
Well, the
that's very alarming for me,
Yes. Accessibility is one key issue for inclusive education here in the country. Particularly if we're talking about public schools, let's say how inclusive are our public schools in terms, in providing for, let's say, education and support for those, let's say, with special needs, no? Kukonti lang po yan. Malaki yung ang kakulangan natin, especially sa public schools, sa mga guro na nag-specialize on
yung mga SPED teachers tawag, di ba?
Yes. So malaki yung kakulangan po doon, no? And if you're going to look for, let's say, yung mga eskwelahan na nag-o-offer nito, karamihan po nito ay nasa pribadong sektor. And it comes for, medyo may kamahalan po yan. So that's what I've said, accessibility is the issue. So if we want to increase that, let's say 8%, kung gusto natin na tumaas yan at maging mas accessible ang inclusive education sa ating bansa, kailangan patatagin natin we have to strengthen inclusive education in public schools. So that starts with, of course, training teachers to provide for to teach inclusive education, yung may mga special needs. That also includes special materials and resources,
Yeah.
no? Na crafted talaga para sa mga pangangailangan ng ganong segment ng ating mga learners. So, as what I've said, kailangan po ng improvement as well. Kasi that 8% is very dismal. It means that we are excluding 92% of learners with special needs. So, that's very alarming as well.
Exactly. You pointed out several important factors, increase of SPED teachers, yan. Marami tayong kakulangan dyan. And of course, yung classroom suitable for persons with disability, learning materials. And one more that I would always say is a key factor here is yung money. Yung tuition fee, no? Kasi right now, I think, based on my reports, on my observations, mas marami yung nakaka-afford ng mga special classes for special children with special needs, yung mga merong kakayahan lang magbayad. But kapag nandun ka na sa kabilang sektor, wala na, di ba? Parang ang essence nun, wala na, hindi ko na lang pag-aaralin yung anak ko kasi hindi ko naman ma-afford yun. So I think, what else can the government, di ba, sa tulong ng iba pang mga partners can do to be able to give this to pangkalahatan? Kaya nga inclusive eh.
Yeah. Well, correct, no, Ma'am Angela. I think one of the low-hanging fruits in terms of to increase access is to increase as well our capacity to give vouchers, no. So we've seen that it worked for quite some time, though. For this implementation, nakita natin that vouchers work, no, for senior high school. While there needs to be improvement, no, kailangan ng improvement, particularly for safeguards, to avoid, let's say, yung mga corruption issues on the use of vouchers. But using vouchers kasi, it democratizes, no? It democratizes access to education. As such that, if we expand natin yan at ibaba natin yung paggamit ng vouchers doon from grades 1 to, let's say, also grades 1 to 10, mas maraming Pilipino ang magkakaroon ng access, no, sa education, and it would solve quite a lot. It will address quite a lot of problems. No? Number one, sabi natin may pagkukulang sa classrooms, no. Pero kung titingnan natin, merong mga eskwelahan, may mga private schools na meron pang absorptive capacity, no, kaya pang mag-absorb ng mga learners. So bakit hindi natin bigyan ng vouchers yung mga lugar na kung saan nakikita natin na meron ng congestion on public schools. So the same can also be applied to inclusive and special education. To increase access, to democratize access to inclusive and special education, bigyan natin ng specialized vouchers yung mga qualified na mga learners para makapag-access sila ng, let's say, special and alternative education sa mga pili at mga private institutions na nag-o-offer po ng ganitong klaseng program. So, it's, for me, a strengthened and expanded voucher program hits two birds or a lot of birds with one stone, and it's actually a low-hanging fruit too.
And of course, we're looking at these studies for the long-term effect. No? Of course, economy natin, sa business sector, because businesses often say education gaps affect workforce readiness. So how soon will these learning losses be felt in the job market? Kasi yun ang sinasabi nila, maraming jobs actually, pero ang problema, yung matching nung skills doon sa tao nung job eh.
Yeah, again, when we're talking of let's say skills mismatch, that has been the longest story for quite some time, no? That there are a lot of jobs, the private sector, yung mga kumpanya natin nagsasabi, madami kaming opening, but yung mahirap is to find the right candidate that possess, let's say, the skills that they need. So what is actually happening is yung private sector ngayon, aside from, let's say, upon entry to the workforce, kapag na-hire nila, may mga additional training to build on the skills. And we are not talking of technical skills here. We're talking of basic, let's say, life skills, communication skills, yung mga critical thinking skills, which sana natututunan nila sa eskwelahan pa lang. Pagka-graduate nila, dapat meron na sila noon. Pero because of this problem, no, ito nga pinag-uusapan natin, functional literacy nga na dapat nasa eskwelahan pa lang, nabibuild na sa kanila. So may mga lumalabas ng sistema, may mga gumagraduate sa education system natin na hindi functionally literate. So, number one, mahihirapan niyang maghanap ng trabaho. And then number two, it widens the job skills mismatch. Kasi nga, yung hinahanap ng pribadong sektor, yung hinahanap ng ating labor force market, ay hindi akma yung skills ng mga gumagraduate na sa ating education system. So, mas nagwa-widen yung gap. Now, merong mga policies, no, may mga nagawa na rin yung Department of Education at ang ating mga education agencies kasama ang CHED, kasama ang TESDA to strengthen the senior high school program, particularly to strengthen the TechVoc, no, the Tech Pro track as what they would call it now. So, isa ito sa mga magagandang hakbang para matugunan yung job skills mismatch. But again, nagsisimula pa lang . So, how do we sustain this? How do we sustain these kinds of yung mga policy efforts natin, itong mga implementation natin na, as what I've said, takes time to really produce the gains, no? It takes time to, let's say, para makita natin na gumagana siya at nagiging epektibo siya. So how do we make sure that is actually sustainable and it will be implemented in the years to come?
Parang it takes consistency talaga to build credibility, ika nga. Di ba yun yung mga Of course, di ba? And then there's one thing before I let you go, Sir Hadibal. Meron ako kasi nakitang also alarming dito sa study na to that we're talking about. Yung isa nakikita nilang factor, no, that affect yung learning literacy ng isang mag-aaral is of course the malnutrition, no, yung stunting and malnutrition problem. Na people are calling for system reset for this, on how do we address this kind of problem, because I think meron tayo sa batas natin yung first 1,000 days Diba? Yun ang importante na kailangan mapakain natin na maayos yung magulang na nagbubuntis pa lang, and then para habang pagpalaki niya, pagpalabas, pagpanganak ay maging okay, etc. And then continuous yung program. Pero where do we go from there? Kasi what's happening right now, I think it's not effective or hindi talaga na-implement. No? Yun yung nakikita natin dun What do you have to say to that?
Well, number one, the system reset, I agree, but I think we need to look at, after the reset, what needs to be done, right? We reset, pero ano yung gagawin after the reset, no? Because for the longest time, we've seen na putol-putol po yung, let's say, spectrum of implementation in the first 1,000 days.
That's true.
So, let's say, for example, habang pinagbubuntis ng ina yung bata, nasa pangangalaga siya ng Department of Health o ng DOH. So, first 1,000 days.
DSWD, oo.
Yes, may papanganak siya, so and so. And then, meron pong mga programa na ini-implement din yung DSWD. May kasabay po yan. I think meron din pong mga let's say, elements ang ating Pantawid Pilipino program that would apply to, let's say, pregnant and lactating mothers. Pero pagdating po niyan, let's say, doon po sa transition or sa handoff from DSWD to the education agency, kapag nagsimula na pong mag-aral yung bata, saan po nakikita yung pagkukulang in terms of, let's say, nutrition and feeding? Kasi sa eskwelahan po, ang nutrition or yung feeding program in the schools, alam po natin that that's not enough. Hindi po enough yung feeding program. Kasi look at it, we can look at it this way. Kapag summer, wala nang feeding program sa eskwelahan. Balik sa pagiging malnourished yung bata kapag summer. Tapos pagbalik niya sa eskwelahan, kailan magkakaroon ng feeding program, doon lang siya ulit magiging,
That's
let's say,
right, that's right.
properly,
Oo.
properly nourished. So,
Again,
that
consistency.
alone is a gap. Yes, that alone is a gap. So I think
Yeah.
kailangan natin maging consistent, no? Kailangan natin maging consistent in this implementation para makita natin talaga at ma-reap natin yung, let's say, positive results of this interventions. Kasi as we are looking right now, medyo piecemeal siya eh. Medyo
Exactly.
pautay-utay
Oo.
siya at putol-putol. So kaya hindi natin nakikita kaagad yung resulta.
And I think kasi din, yung nangyayari per region, hindi nakukonsentrate sila sa isang region lang at nakakalimutan yung iba. Dahil as of now, 40% lang daw nagagamit ng DSWD doon sa kanilang itong first 1,000 days na program. But of course, marami pa tayong pinag-uusapan tungkol dito. Maraming factors affecting our education. But then again, we don't have so much time. Thank you so much for your insights, Hannibal Camua, Executive Director of the Philippine Business for Education or PBED. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you.